We'll be talking about something interesting. Specifically, if you didn't know, okay, today is International Men's Day. So happy Men's Day to all the men out here that love the Lord and are listening to us right now. So International Men's Day is an annual international event celebrated on the 19th of November. The objective of celebrating an International Men's Day are set out in the 6 pillars of International Men's Day. It is an occasion to celebrate boys and men's achievements and contributions, in particular for their contributions to nation, society, community, family, marriage, and childcare. And this year's theme is better health for men and boys. Now, we'll be talking to Dr. Garth Japhet, who is the CEO of Heartlines, regarding all this that we are mentioning right now. And he's on the line with us right now. Dr. Garth, welcome to Rainbow FM 90.7.
Thanks, Nkosi, and welcome. Nice to chat to you and also to your listeners.
All right, if we can just get straight into what we're talking about today, International Men's Day. What significance does a day like International Men's Day mean on raising the awareness of men's participation in society?
Well, I think unfortunately a lot of the publicity or talk about men in society is quite negative, gender-based violence, all sorts of things, and I think, as men, there are many extraordinary men out there doing extraordinary things, raising families, contributing in many different ways. So as much as we celebrate our women, and we really do, I think it's important that we celebrate our men as well.
All right. Now, what is the importance of men in their role, especially as fathers in the home? I mean, you've just said that we always celebrate women with regards to the roles that they play, but what is the importance of men in their role, especially as fathers in the home as well?
So I think that's an amazing question because, I often say if you said to somebody, do mothers matter, they would look at you like you were a bit crazy in the lives of children. If you say to somebody, well, does it matter if fathers are around? You get a bit of a mixed bag. People would say, yeah, I think so, but, maybe not. And yet the evidence from around the world and including our own country is so compelling that the active, positive presence of a man in children's lives is hugely important, as important as a mother. And I think, there is a gap in our society in that we just, men and women, don't acknowledge that. So I think number one is that we need to really just re-emphasize just how important it is that men, even against great odds, are present in the lives of children.
All right. So you have a project that is called Fathers Matter. Can you tell us about that project and what exactly the aim of this project is?
Yeah, so what we do as Heartlines is that we take on issues that we believe of real national significance, which cuts across race, gender, socioeconomic status, etc. And this issue of absent fathers is one that, as I say, some global commentators think that the impact of absent men in the lives of children is as severe as poverty and disease. It is a huge global issue. And in our country, over 60% of kids are growing up without the presence of their biological father. Over half of the birth certificates do not register the father's name.
Sure.
So this is a massive issue in our society. And the impact of that is severe. It impacts children. It's a risk factor. Let me just say that it's a risk factor. Many amazing people, millions and millions of amazing people have been brought up by extraordinary single mothers. But just like smoking is a risk factor for cancer, it doesn't mean to say if you smoke you will get cancer. So not having a present man in the life of a child is a risk factor. And it basically is a risk. Kids who have not had an active man in their lives are at greater risk of substance abuse, mental illness, including suicide and depression. They are more likely to not do well at school. They're less likely to do well academically, in sort of life prospects. And there's even some studies that say it cuts down on life expectancy. And this cuts across the board. So, what we do as Heartlines is that we try and understand this problem. We don't assume that we understand why, men are not present. And it's not. The interesting thing is that the research, which we spent over a year, did lots of community-based work, lots of interviews, literature reviews. The majority of the reason is it's not the deadbeat dad. It's the guy who says, I'm not interested. The biggest single factor that our research has shown is that men are not present because both men and women think that a man's role is to provide financially. And if he can't provide financially, then what use is he? And that is a deeply held belief by most men, but interestingly, also by most women. So, a lovely quote from our research is, if he can't pay, I don't need another child in my house.
Yeah.
So essentially, and we can go more into the research findings, but so Fathers Matter is essentially a large-scale national program to understand this is step one, which I was talking about, but then to produce, to encourage men to be more present, to get the knowledge out there in society about just how important it is, and then to support men. One of our key interventions is going to be something called Fathers Matter Connect Groups, which we are starting in churches from the beginning of next year. This is where groups of men, the idea is that within any church context, there are, men at different stages of life. Some have been fathers themselves, some haven't, some are about to become fathers, some are fathers of different aged kids. And the idea here is that we can learn from each other. And so, that groups of men between sort of up to 8-10 men will get together in a connect group. We have a course. It's a 5-week or 5-session module where the men will begin to hear each other and listen to each other's stories of what fathers mean to them, what their own father did or didn't mean. And then there are going to be other modules that they can do if they want, which is about fathering at different ages, skills. I mean, if you haven't been fathered yourself, there are a whole lot of things that you just don't know.
That is true. It's going to be very difficult.
Or if you've been poorly fathered. So, and then we'll produce 6 films that, please God, because we don't have the financing for it yet, but that will go out on television, which deals with different aspects of this. They're little dramas. We have a website that is already up there called fathersmatter.org.za. And there you will begin to find tips for dads, ideas, how to connect to other groups that are working in this area, and so on.
All right, that is so interesting, and I love the fact that you are bringing men together and causing them to help one another to walk this path in a better way. 25 minutes after 2 o'clock, it is in Rainbow FM 90.7. We're talking to Dr. Garth Japhet, and he is the CEO of Heartlines, and they are talking about International Men's Day. We are chatting to Dr. Garth Japhet from Heartlines, and we're talking about Fathers Matters and what they are doing to better shape our future and help men out there to become better men, and also to make people aware of the importance of the role of fathers in families. Now, Dr. Garth, you've been talking about the project that you have that is called Fathers Matter. And I want to find out do you have any young people that are involved in these groups where men gather together and help one another? Are you helping shape young men to become better men and know how to better play this role when they grow up as well?
Because that's a great question, because clearly one of the key jobs here is that we need to challenge some of the perceptions out there of what it means to be a father. And so a key part of this is to work with young men before they become fathers. And so these connect groups, which will only begin next year, the idea there is to encourage a sort of intergenerational groups, so that there will be older men and younger men who learn from each other. We will also potentially be developing a intervention for sort of young teenagers, 12 to sort of 17,
I like that.
Where these thoughts about what it means to be a father are set very early in life, particularly this concept about provision. that your role is to provide, and if you can't provide, then that's, you have no role. And so we need to challenge that with young men and women. And I emphasize women here because women hold these ideas about what a father should be as well. It's not just young men.
Right. Now, I would like to ask, because you've mentioned this quite a few times, that a lot of times when the perception of that people have about being a father is just about if you can pay, then it is good. If you've got the money to sustain everybody, then that's fine. That's where the role ends. Can you tell us more about the role that actually a man plays in society and in their family, just outside of the provision part?
I think, what is clear is just what we call the active positive presence is, so it's not just being there either. So, we also have what we call present but absent fathers. A father who is in the home but is emotionally not there. It's as important, if not more important, to chat to your kids, play with your kids, read to your kids, even if you are not in the same home as the mother, to make time to so much of our research was saying, Dad, even now adults, it's amazing how many adults say, all I really wanted from my dad was his time. It wasn't about the gifts he could give me, or the money that he could pay. I just wanted him to be there. And so it is about being present in many different ways. And, that's part of what we're hoping to do is, first of all, to give our men ideas about how to be present, but also to get men to support each other on how to navigate, what for many men is a foreign territory. A lot of men have not been fathers themselves.
I absolutely love that you are actually bridging that gap, because I find it very interesting that society has placed such a high expectation of men that you need to fulfill this role in a certain way, in a certain standard. But as you are saying, majority of the time, men have never seen nobody walk that path before. They've never seen how to have a relationship with the kids, or how do I actually love my wife in a way that builds the family. So I love that you are bringing that aspect as well. Now, you've conducted some research in all of this. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is that many men do not know how to engage with their children due to a lack of positive role models. How important is it that fathers take time and actually get to become children as well and sit down with their kids? What effect does that have in the long run in the children, whether it is positive or negative?
So it's, as I say, the absence of the father is a risk factor, and it increases the risk of one of the things is violence. Children and adults are more likely to be perpetrators or victims of violence if they have not had a positive role model of a man in their lives. So we talk a lot about gender-based violence, and if we really want to deal with gender-based violence into the next generation, then it is about being present in the lives of our kids. And we haven't had role models, but each of us can play and be there and learn. It's not necessarily about repeating the behavior of the previous generation. And one of the key things that, again, the research is very clear on is if you are present in the first 3 years of a child's life, you're likely to be present forever. And so those first 3 years, when they are babies, that your presence is actually really important in that period. And in our culture, a lot of it is, that time is the mother's time. But actually to be there to support the child's mother in parenting, to play with the child with building blocks or whatever it may be, has been shown to be critically important to the child's further development. And one of our partners in this is UNICEF, United Nations Children's Fund, and they've identified, this first 1,000 days, as they call it, as the presence of both men and women in that period as being extremely critical.
Absolutely love that. And I'm enjoying the fact that you are going into these critical issues that sometimes we overlook them and we think they are not as important. We're going to go for a quick break. When we come back, we're still chatting to Dr. Garth, who is from Heartlines, and we're finding out more about the work that they are doing.
pastors, leaders. During this time of social distancing and beyond, Rainbow FM 90.7 is giving you the opportunity to connect to a wider audience. We are offering you a special rate to share your messages on air or via internet live streaming. For this airtime special, call us now on 011 472 9072 or email info@rainbowfm.co.za.
Your sound alternative, Rainbow FM 90.7.
We're celebrating the message of healing, reconciliation, and hope on Rainbow 90.7.
25 minutes before 3 o'clock on Rainbow FM 90.7. International Men's Day is what we're talking about today. And on the line, we are talking to Dr. Garth Japhet, who is the CEO of Heartlines, but also they have a project. Their latest project is called Fathers Matter. And they are basically aiming to promote a positive presence of men in the lives of children. And also, men are gathering together in groups in order to discuss certain issues and learn from one another. Now, Dr. Garth, what I want to find out about is the connect groups that you've mentioned, the Fathers Matter connect groups. Is there perhaps a criteria that you use to identify people, or can anyone who feels the need to join this group become a part of it and learn from these lessons?
Thanks. Yeah, so obviously as a Christian-based organisation, our heart is for working with churches, although we don't only work with churches. But Fathers Matter Connect groups will start in churches from next year. As I say, these are not up and running yet. But the idea is that anyone in a church, in a local church, can put up their hand and say we would like to start a connect group or connect groups. There's no barrier to how many groups can be formed or by whom. The idea is that you are in a local church. And what will happen is that we will train leaders, people who put up their hand and say, I'd like to be part of or run a connect group in our church. And we will give them outlines about how to run these groups. We will then send them resources, all free of charge, which basically you start with what we call the core module, which is a 5-part series, which essentially introduces group. As I say, usually we think that the base size of a group is anywhere between sort of 6 and 10 people, and you can either meet in person or over Zoom or whatever you want to use, WhatsApp. And the idea is that the group then goes through these sessions. There will be a discussion starter, a short video of like 2 minutes, and then a bunch of questions, and then also some resources where they can get more information. But the idea is that the group learns mainly from each other, supported by the materials that we provide. Once you've been through the core module, you'll be able to get other modules, like specifically looking at, say, issues of culture. For many people in our country, one of the key barriers to father presence is certain cultural aspects, such as lobola that hasn't been paid. I think it's called inhlawulo, the so-called damages costs. The barriers that sometimes exist between a man being present and the family of the mother of the child. So there will be a module on that. And then there will be a module on parenting at different phases of a child's life. So obviously parenting a 3-year-old is very different to a 13-year-old. And the groups will be able to pick and choose which modules they get, and we will then send them the discussion starters, the outlines, the background research, etc.
All right. Now, in your plan of running these connect groups, are you planning to have them run over a certain period of time and then they're going to dissolve, or is it a lifetime thing? How is the plan in that regard?
So the plan is that it should be reasonably flexible. So, for instance, the core module, which we want everyone to do, it's 5 sessions. You could run that over a weekend, or you could run it over 5 months. It's just whatever the group decides. And then the group can decide whether they want to do more modules or whether they want to split up into different groups, say some with older kids, some with younger. But one of our prayers and hopes is that, in many churches, the men's ministry either doesn't exist or is not very active. That this will be something that really can be a rallying cry for men's ministries. I think as men, we don't really like talking about relationships, so getting us together to talk about those things, even though they're important, is hard. But get us together to talk about kids, I think that is going to be a different story. So with any luck, it's not just the sessions, but it's actually building relationships between men to support each other in this journey of trying to be better fathers. Just before I forget, one of the key things here is it's not just about biological fathering. In our society, many men play the role of father, even if it's not their kid. So, as uncle, as grandfather, as cousin, as older brother. We call that social fathering. But we also, in our communities, there are many kids who don't have active fathers. And ultimately, we would like to encourage men in these groups over time to begin to reach out to those kids as well.
I absolutely love that. All right, we're gonna take a short break. Then when we come back, we're wrapping up our conversation with Dr. Garth Japhet. Absolutely loving what they're doing, and I truly believe it's gonna make a difference, and it's gonna get those ministries in the churches, men's ministries that haven't been active in a while, to start working and making a difference. Hey?
Rainbow FM 90.7 appreciates your donation and your sacrifice. Your giving makes it possible for us to keep spreading the message of reconciliation, healing and hope through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. With your continued support, together we make a difference and bring hope to many lives in our families, in our community and our nation. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast and immovable. Always excel in the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. 1 Corinthians 15 verse 58. If you want to continue supporting the ministry, our banking details are Rainbow Community Broadcaster, Standard Bank. Account number is 252-712-102.
90.7. Maybe on your way somewhere. Rainbow keeps you lifted. Maybe relaxing with your family. Rainbow keeps you lifted. Ooh, we will inform you. The traffic and the news. Set a tone for your day with Rainbow.
It is your sound alternative, Rainbow FM 90.7. 18 minutes to go before 3 o'clock. And we are chatting to Dr. Garth Japhet from Heartlines. And they're telling us about Fathers Matters. And we've spoken about a lot of the work they do, how they are bringing about a change in creating connect groups. That's what they call them, connect groups, where men can meet together, have discussions, have different modules that they covering a number of aspects, and they get to learn from all of that. Now, Dr. Garth, after we've mentioned all of this, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who would like to get involved in this, and probably there's churches who are already waiting as well to hear, how do we start our own connect group?
Well, thanks for that, Nkosi. So you can contact us at fathersmatter@heartlines.org.za. So any queries, or we'd love to follow this or get connected or start, be one of the first churches to start a connect group or connect groups. Please email us at fathersmatter@heartlines.org.za, or you can follow us on Facebook at Heartlines.za or Twitter Heartlines.za. And we'd love, obviously the body of Christ is just that. We're a body. We can't do these things alone. And we really would, really look forward to partnering and participating with other Christians and churches.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Garth, for your time, and thank you for what you are doing in our community. Any last remarks that you have for anybody who's listening and has actually loved what we're talking about today?
Yeah, I think just on this Men's Day, to the men out there, to really be intentional about being present in the lives of either your children or children that really just need a positive male presence in their lives. Be actively and positively present. And then just generally to try and get out this message in our society that fathers actually really matter. we love the work that the extraordinary women in our country do, and we just need to also get men and women to understand just how important it is for men to be there for kids.
Right. Dr. Garth, thank you so much for chatting to us, and we really hope and pray that what you are doing will definitely make an impact, but it will continue to grow and you will see more success in it.
Thank you so much, Nkosi. Appreciate the call.
Right, that is Dr. Garth Japhet from Heartlines, and they have Fathers Matter, where they are connecting men to make a difference, and they are speaking to one another, having conversations where they can learn from one another. You can reach out to them on Facebook, that is Heartlines ZA, and on Twitter, Heartlines ZA. And if you want to chat with us directly, that means with them, that is fathersmatter@heartlines.org.za.